Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki LaRose, and today I'm doing a full-on glam using only drugstore makeup and brushes. Okay, so to add to the excitement, I haven't even opened any of my products yet, so you'll see me open them as I go. But to start, I'm just gonna open up my brushes and to get this look going. So these are some face brushes that I bought. They're from Profusion Cosmetics. And I actually want to tell you how much these brushes were because they were a really good deal. So this brush set is the Face Essentials from Profusion, and this was $12.98. So not bad. And I thought I picked these out because these actually look like the kind of brushes that I would gravitate towards and the kind of brushes that I use professionally in my makeup kit. So it'll be really interesting to see how these perform. So I'm gonna take these out. And then of course, when I think of like drugstore brushes and beauty products, Real Techniques is, I mean, they like set the standard. I think they have the best brushes as far as like drugstore brushes are concerned. Their quality is like unmatched. They're really good. Like I use these professionally. I haven't used this set before, so this is gonna be brand new to me. But I have like their face brushes, I have their sponges, and they're great quality. And this set was $16.32. It's a really random price, but 16 bucks, really nice. So I'll be using this for all my eyeshadow. And I did throw in a wild card. I already opened this one because the packaging was kind of unexciting. This was a 99-cent Wet and Wild brush. And, you know, we'll see how this goes. The quality of this one's kind of meh, but it was 99 cents. So, like, why not try it out? Another tool that I opened off camera because I wanted to wet it and get it prepped before we started filming was this elfcosmetics Camo Concealer Sponge. This was $6. And this shape is amazing. This is a great shape, and I cannot wait to use this for my concealer and my setting powder. So this is already dampened, so it's expanded already. It's already ready to go. Okay, so to start, I'm gonna work on my brows first because it's really hard for me to focus on the rest of my face unless my brows are done. My brows are already laminated, but it's an old lamination. Like they're not freshly laminated, if that makes sense. So some of them are falling down, some of them are sticking up, so they're gonna look really funky. But anyway, to start, I'm going to fill in my brows with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I have the color Chocolate. We'll find out if this is a mistake color-wise. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be too warm for my brow color, but we're gonna use it and we're gonna make it work. So I'm gonna first start by just lightly outlining my brows. My brows need a lot of help. Yeah, and this color is definitely going to show up on camera. It's going to have more of a red undertone. I am going to cocktail it with this product next, which I'm super excited to try. I've never tried this before. It is the NYX Thicket Stick It. Is that what it's called? Thicket Stick It Thickening Brow Mascara. And it says too that it's with hair-like fibers. So that's the reason why I got it. I talk about this all the time. Like I like a brow gel that has fiber in it because my brow hair is just really fine and just soft. It's almost like silky. So any product that I can get my hands on that's gonna thicken it and like attach a fiber and make it look like naturally thick, I'm all about. So I can't wait to try this. But first, let me finish this brow. Now open up this bad boy. So I want to talk about the color that I got. I got the color Cool Ash Brown, and I don't normally do like cool tones or taupey tones or taupe tones on my brows. But I have been noticing, you know, sometimes with camera lighting and just studio lighting in general, things can look different or translate different on camera than they do in real life. So I've been noticing that my brows have been looking a little more warm and like caramelly than I want them to look on camera. So we're gonna try something new today, and that's why I chose this color. It's gonna be very cool in tone compared to like what I'm used to using on my brows and what you're probably used to seeing my brows look like. So we're gonna try this out. Hopefully it'll tone down that warmer like chocolate pencil that I just used and kind of counteract it. And when I'm using like a brow fiber gel or like a tinted brow gel, I actually like to get the tip of it where it has like, you can see like there's a ton of fibers in the tip of that brush. And I want to get the most fibers as possible when I'm doing my brows because like I said, I just want to thicken them and make them look like bushy and like Brooke Shields-esque if I can. So I'm using the tip of the wand rather than like brushing it up because I'm not going to get as much fiber that way, even though that's how you're supposed to use it. And this is usually why I do my brows off camera because honestly, they're a real pain in the butt to do. For now, we're done with brows and we're gonna move on to concealer because I'm gonna use this as both my under eye concealer and as my eyeshadow base, which I like to do with most concealers in my tutorials. I'll be using the e.l.f. Cosmetics Hydrating Camo Concealer, and this is in the shade Light Beige. I hope this one works well under my eyes, so we will see. Let's open this guy up. And this was $6, I think. I'm excited for this. This might be a little too dark for under my eyes, but we'll make it work. Okay, this is where I might struggle with brushes, but you know, it's hard with drugstore stuff because obviously you can't swatch it, but not many people know this. You can actually return or exchange any drugstore makeup that you buy. It's like the law that you can return it. So if anyone tells you different, you tell them they're wrong. You can actually, if this was the wrong color for me and I wanted to keep it, I can go back and exchange it. So just so you know. So I'm bringing this all over my eyelid and I'm feathering it out past my eyelid towards my temple and then all in the inner part of my tear duct along the side of my nose. Okay, concealer is on. I'm gonna open up another one of my products. I also got the e.l.f. Cosmetics Prime and Stay Finishing Powder in Fair Light. This is a pressed powder. I actually used this like at least 10 years ago when e.l.f. first came out. I remember thinking like, oh, this is like a $3 powder. I think it is still $3 too. Yep. It's still $3, which is amazing. Or maybe it was like $2 at the time. I don't know. But anyway, I remember this powder being really nice for like a ridiculously cheap powder. Switching to the Profusion Flat Setting Powder Brush in PD5. So I'm going to use this as my setting powder to lock in the concealer that I just applied to my eyes. So starting with my first eyeshadow product, I'm so excited for this palette. I saw this and I was like, I actually couldn't believe my eyes. Who knows how it's gonna, you know, blend and lay on my skin. We'll see. But I'm really impressed. Just overall, the look of it, the colors, it had actually so many options. I chose the Nudes palette. It's 10 shades. It's from Profusion Cosmetics. And I had never heard of Profusion Cosmetics before. I'd never seen them in a drugstore. I didn't even know they existed. But they had so much good stuff. And, you know, we'll see how this wears and how it performs. But this was $5.18. $5. It's crazy. Okay, so moment of truth. I'm going to try out the 99-cent Wet n Wild brush. I don't know about this one. This might give me a really hard time. We'll see. But I'm going to dip into the color Clay to start. Clay, like what a great color. So I'm gonna start blending this into my crease. This is gonna be like my first transitional color. It's gonna lay down the foundation for the rest of my eye makeup look. I'm gonna need to pick up more of Clay. That's pretty. It's very soft. It's not, you know, it's not like an overwhelming amount of pigment. This brush I wouldn't recommend, but you know, it's It was worth a shot. It's not horrible. It's 99 cents. It's not bad, but it's not like impressive. Okay, so that is clay. I am going to switch my brush to one of the Real Techniques ones. This is the Essential Crease Brush. I wish it was bigger. I wish it was a little bit fluffier, but we're gonna try this one out. And next up, we're gonna dip into Tarte. It's a decent amount of fallout on these shadows. I'm gonna work this into the socket of my eye. Like really get it in the crease of my eye. Just using the windshield wiper motion to blend it. It's a really pretty color. Like really, really pretty color. I love like warm tones, warm, soft tone browns like this. This brush is really nice. Like I said, I wish it was longer and fluffier, but this is not bad. Like I said, I already know what to expect with Real Techniques brushes. I've used them for years. I think they're great quality. I think they're, you know, unmatched quality-wise for our drugstore brushes. I just think the size could be a teeny bit bigger, but that's also like my personal preference. So I just want a really soft, blown out look with these shadows. So I'm really kind of taking it all over my crease. Moving on to a product that I'm really excited about. I've actually been meaning to try these for years because a friend of mine has raved about them for years and I just never got around to buying them. This is the Maybelline New York Color Tattoo Cream Eyeshadow in the color 20 Socialite. So if you know me, you know I love cream eyeshadows. I think they're so gorgeous and so easy to work with. This one's supposed to be a 24-hour wear. It's crease resistant, fade resistant, and waterproof. Okay, so the product has sweat a little bit, like something happened where maybe it got too hot or I don't know. So we'll see how this one works and wears. It might be fine. So I'm gonna apply this first with my fingertip and then I'm gonna blend it out. It's pretty. It's actually a little more sheer than I thought it was going to be when applying it, but if you just layer it like I am, I just layered like 2 layers and it's super pretty. It's really, really pretty and it's really easy to blend. I'm gonna take the longer fluffy brush from the Real Techniques set. I'm gonna use this to blend just a little bit into the crease with that cream shadow. Yeah, this shadow is really pretty. This would be a really pretty bridal eye base or lid color. It's really soft and pretty. I'm just gonna do a back and forth windshield wiper motion just to gently blend that into my crease. Okay, so moving on to eyeliner. I'm super excited for this one. This one's from Revlon. It's this So Fierce vinyl eyeliner. It's a long-wearing gel eyeliner. It's supposed to be glossy and waterproof, and it's in the color Mighty Mocha. Let's open this guy up. I love Revlon eyeliners. When I think of like drugstore makeup and quality and like performance, honestly, Revlon has always crushed their eyeliners. I think their eyeliners are they've just always done a great job. So really excited for this eyeliner. And this wouldn't be a tutorial of mine if I didn't do a cat eye. So I'm gonna do a cat eye. It's just what I prefer to do on my eyes. I think it's the most flattering look on my eyes. And I think this actually is going to dry down pretty quick. So I'm going to switch over to one of the Real Techniques brushes. This is the smudge brush from the set. And we're going to use this right away to smudge this out. You actually have to work pretty quick with this liner, which is nice. Like, that means it's going to stay put all day. Do one more layer. Taking the same brush, I'm going to dip into, let's start with Indulge. I'm going to layer this on top of the brown eyeliner. And it's going to look really crooked, I'm sure, and messy before I go in and clean it up like I usually do. It's a really pretty dark brown. And I've talked about this before too. I just like to set whatever, either like gel eyeliner or pencil eyeliner that I'm using on my top lash line. Once I smudge it out, I love to set it with a powder shadow just to really reinforce it. It usually will intensify it just a bit too. And it'll just give it like a smokier effect, which I love. It gives it depth too. Like, the more you layer makeup, the more depth you'll have. So now I'm going to go in with a Q-tip and my eye makeup remover and just clean up the edge. You guys have seen me do this 1,000 times, but looking straight ahead, I'm going to start to create my wing. I'm going to move on to mascara. Actually, before I move on to mascara, I have another eyeliner that I'm so excited to try. This is the Maybelline New York Hyper Easy eyeliner. And this one was $7.98, and just like Revlon, I think Maybelline makes some really nice eyeliners. So again, I'm really excited to try this. If I like this, I'll probably go back and buy multiple colors and put them in my makeup kit. Look at that fine tip. This seems like a great dupe. I mean, we'll try it out, but this seems like a great dupe for the very pricey Hourglass Cosmetics. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a really thin twist up liner. And it's an amazing formula, but you run out of it so quickly that it's just not very cost effective. This is like the perfect size. So I'm gonna use this to line the top lash line. So I'm gonna start in the inner corner of my eye. Really nice formula. I just kind of glided on, did its thing. It's a rich pigmented brown, which is what I wanted. So that is really nice. Really like that liner. Moving on to mascara finally. This one takes me back to when I was a teenager and I would like save up money just to go to the drugstore and buy, like, there's two things I bought: eyeliner and mascara. That was like all I lived for, was just going and like buying a good mascara and an eyeliner. Like, that's all I needed. Didn't think to buy anything for my brows, which was a huge mistake. I wish someone would have told me, like, hey, you should really fill in your eyebrows because you look like you don't have any. This one is just so good. It's the L'Oreal Paris Telescopic Mascara in Carbon Black. And also, I remember when I was a teenager, if there was like the option between like black or carbon black, I like had to have everything carbon black because it was like the blackest black, and that was just so cool to me. So I'm so stoked to try this again. This is like pure memories. I mean, who knows if it's still as good as I remember it being. They might have like reformulated it. I don't know. Or maybe my taste has changed, but I just remember this mascara being so good. So let's bust it out. So this mascara was $9.33 at Walmart. I know like different places and locations, like the prices can vary just a little bit. So I like to like list it. It's from Walmart. I think they have the cheapest prices. I remember this mascara having really good grip and like a good curling effect, but it is one of those formulas that's more wet and messy. So I don't know if you can see, I already got like a little smudge of this on my eyelid, which I'll get later once it's fully dry. But it's one of those formulas you have to be a little more careful with because it is so wet. You don't have quite as much control, but the small brush that it has helps. It's not like one of those overwhelmingly huge brushes that just, you know, you hit your lashes and it just gets everywhere. It's small enough so you can really get in there and wiggle and get like a good lift up and good separation. Okay, I'm gonna let good enough be. I'm not gonna overdo it. With wet mascara formulas, you really can't go in later on and do another coat like you can with like a cream, more of a creamy mascara. Like those are more forgiving and you have more playtime with those. With wet formulas, they dry down quicker. And once they're dry, they become a lot harder, like the feeling of them. So you can't really go in and like layer them throughout a makeup application. So you kind of have to do your coats back to back. Okay. This mascara is amazing. It's so good. Mascara is done on the top. I'll do my bottom lashes once I do my bottom everything, and then we'll finish my lashes then. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to contour. I'm gonna do a little pre-contouring slash, you know, warming up my skin before I do my foundation. So I'll be using a product that I've been actually loving lately, and I bought this a little while ago. I didn't buy this with my drugstore makeup haul. It's the elfcosmetics Putty Bronzer in Honey Drip. Dipping into it with the Profusion Cosmetics Buffing Foundation brush. I'm gonna start around my hairline. And just a note about this cream bronzer, it's really sheer, and overall it just looks more natural too because it is more sheer. It's not a super dramatic. And then I'm gonna do my cheekbones. I'm gonna bring it along my jaw. I'm just gonna get a little bit on my nose. So moving on to foundation, I'm really sad because I spent a lot of my time looking at the different foundations and kind of agonizing over which one to choose. And I finally settled on one that I thought was gonna be so gorgeous. It was from NYX and it was like in a black tube. It's a super glowy finish one, which I love glowy foundations. The checker didn't put it in my bag. And I actually didn't even get rung up for it, so I didn't pay for it, which is fine. But I really wanted it, and it wasn't in my bag, so I'm super upset, and I didn't have time to go back and get it. So luckily, I always have like a drugstore foundation on hand for whatever reason, and I've had this one, and I've used it for years. Like this formula, I've used it for years. So it's not what I wanted to use, sadly, but it's still an incredible drugstore foundation, which is why I've had it and why I've used it for so long. It is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in the color 465. Okay, so I'm gonna do this is probably way too much. I just pumped out way too much. Okay, so switching to a different brush. I didn't mention this earlier because this is another drugstore product that I've had for years. I bought this years ago. It's an e.l.f. Cosmetics Ultimate Blending Foundation Brush. So it's old. I didn't get to like open it up. So I'm gonna start. Also another note, I think I bought this foundation when I was really tan. This is probably like my summer shade. I just wanted that NYX glowy one. I'm really trying to do a thin, you know, slightly more sheer layer because like I said, I don't really love full coverage foundations, especially on myself. It's just not my favorite. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. It's not what I gravitate towards, but this will definitely look flawless on. Like this is like a flawless foundation. Like if you were getting married on a budget and you were doing your own makeup and you want a good drugstore foundation that was gonna last all day, I would totally recommend this one. And you'll notice too, I'm really trying to avoid the areas that I use that cream contour beforehand. So I'm not going to apply this all right here. I'm not applying it at the very top of my forehead because that's where I have like the most of that cream contour. And I'm not trying to cancel it out. Just kind of lightly blending into it. Going back to that e.l.f. Cosmetics Hydrating Camo Concealer in light beige. So this color is really yellow. It's a lot more yellow than I would ever pick out. But you know, that's like kind of like the trial and error of buying drugstore makeup. Sometimes it's a gamble when you're choosing colors. You know, you're looking at it under either a fluorescent light or just not natural lighting. And it's just hard to tell. So am I really happy with this color? No. I wish I chose a more pinky undertone, but when I was looking at this color, when I was choosing it, it looked like it was a lot more neutral than it actually is, but it's okay, we'll make it work. It's, you know, no big deal. I'm also going to use this to highlight the very center of my forehead. I'm going to take it straight down my nose. I'm going to take it on the very center of my chin. That's about it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that original brush that I used to apply this on my eyelids. I'm going to start to tap this in. This brush is cool because it actually is like, it's almost like the equivalent of using your large fingertip and tapping it in. Like I love the shape of it and the density of it is really nice for like packing on a product or like you saw earlier when I blended it on my eyelid as well. Like it's a really good multi-function brush. Okay, so I'm gonna let that side kind of chill out and dry down a little bit. Get my forehead. Just gonna stipple it in and then blend out the edges. Like kind of like feather it out. Just so it's not so stark. I'm gonna lightly tap in my nose, but I'm really gonna let this dry down almost completely before I really blend it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch to that beauty sponge that I got from e.l.f. Cosmetics, and I'm going to start to really tap in this concealer. Okay, now leaving it for even longer, I'm gonna switch over and do some blush. So I bought two colors. I haven't decided what color I wanna do yet. One's more peachy, this is the color Bellini, and then one is rosé. So one's more pink, one's more peachy. I'm gonna do rosé instead, just cause, I don't know, it just will give us some more, it's really pretty. I just feel like this one's a little too brown for what I was hoping it would be. I thought it was gonna be like more of like a light peach, but. So I'm gonna go back to that contour brush that we used earlier. We'll see how this goes. It's $5. It seems very wet, so I'm gonna start to stamp this on. This is really pretty. It's actually very sheer though. Like it says it's more pigmented, but it's actually it's pretty sheer. Like I put a lot on my brush and I really stippled it into my brush. And I think if I hadn't done that, it would have been really, really sheer. So, but it's really pretty. For $5, it's really pretty. It's a gorgeous color. I'm so happy I chose this color. I think it's just really, really flattering and goes with the eye makeup. Really saturate my brush and work it into the bristles and then stamp it on. I am bringing it just kind of along the temple. and nice and high up. I love my blush to be high up. I think it's just really flattering, really pretty when you kind of, when you don't just like focus on the apples and you really bring it up and around your cheek and up towards your temple. It's just like a really flattering, like lifted effect. I talk about that a lot, but it's a really great technique when you're applying your blush. It's a great placement. I'm gonna go back to that pressed powder that we used earlier from e.l.f. in that fair light color. And I'm gonna use this to set my under eye concealer. And what I'm hoping this is gonna do too, since this is more of a neutral color, I'm really hoping this is gonna balance out all the yellow that's in that concealer that I chose. So let's see if this makes a difference. I'm gonna really press it into that under eye concealer, and actually made a really, I think it made a big difference. Hopefully it shows up on camera too, like what a big difference that makes. So I'm gonna take more, I'm gonna set the center of my forehead. So I'm just getting all the places that I highlighted earlier. And then I'm gonna take a little bit and I'm gonna start to blend out my nose highlight. Now we're gonna move on to the Rimmel London Radiance Brick. I'm so excited to try this. I bought this because right off the bat, this reminded me of the Hourglass Cosmetics Ambient Lighting Palette, like that trio of powders that everyone uses. I've used it for years. I love that palette so much, but this kind of gives me the same idea. It's a multi-tonal shimmer powder. This was $3.97. And we're gonna kind of just swirl into all of them. So I'm gonna take this, I'm going to bring it just straight across my forehead. Oh yeah, this is really pretty. Oh, it's definitely bringing the glow back to my skin after that powder that I use and after. So this is super pretty. It's beautiful on the forehead. And I just realized that I skipped a step that I wanted to do before I take this on the rest of my face. So we're gonna put this down for a second. I'm gonna go into my other e.l.f. Cosmetics Halo Glow Setting Powder in the color medium. I got a little excited. I wanted to try that Rimmel Radiance Brick right away. So I kind of forgot about this, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna shake out a little bit of this powder into the cap. And I'm going to use this to set even more and to bake just this area of my skin and to lightly powder the rest of my face. So since this has a little bit of glow to it, I'm going to use it under my eye, kind of where you would highlight. Get my chin one more time. And so now that's done, we're gonna go back to our Rimmel London Radiance Brick in that same brush. I'm gonna swirl into all the colors. I'm gonna tap off the excess. And I'm gonna use this to give me even more glow. Doesn't give off a lot of color, but that's nice. Like, neither does the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. So it's so similar. Like you can see it all here. It's really pretty. Okay, now this product I actually have used before. One of my friends introduced me to this one a little while ago. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder, and this is the color Bloom Time. And this was $5.28. So I'm gonna switch back to this flat, it says it's flat, I don't know why they call it flat, it's not a flat brush, but it's a flat setting powder brush from that original foundation set. So I'm gonna use this to highlight the top of my cheekbones, and also all my favorite places like the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow. And I'm gonna blend it out. And now I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush again. It's one of the Real Techniques one, and then I'm going to highlight my tear duct with this. So now we're gonna move on to our bottom lash line. I'm gonna go back to our palette, take the same brush that we just used for the highlighter. I just kind of dusted it off. I'm gonna dip back into clay and start to work this on my bottom lash line. So now I'm gonna switch back to Tarte. You can see too, like by bringing whatever colors you have on your crease down to your bottom lash line. It just gives your whole makeup look, your eye makeup especially, a really cohesive look. Like it just ties it all together. Bottom lash line is done. Now I'm gonna go back to my mascara and coat my bottom lashes. Moving on to lips, I'm super excited to try this. This is from L'Oreal Paris. It's the Ultra Creamy Glide Color Rich Matte Lip Liner. Oh, this is like my kind of lip liner color. I love this kind of shade. I have been wanting to try this lipstick for so long, and it's super popular. You've probably seen it. It's the Milani Color Fetish Matte Lipstick. Anyway, this is in the color Pleasure, 410 Pleasure. So this is supposed to be a peachy nude. So I thought it would go great with this eye makeup. For a matte formula, that just feels so nice. It went on so creamy, and I love colors like this. I'll probably go out and buy another one for my kit, honestly. It's just such a pretty color. Okay, so moving on to lashes. One of the brands is Ardell. They're like a drugstore staple. Also, I believe these are like under $5, and this is a style 420. Now, with all lashes that I use, I always end up cutting them either in half or in threes. They just fit my eyes and most people's eyes better if you trim them. It's a really great tip if you want your lashes to not lift on either end. This is the best technique to use. So starting on the outer corner of my eye, last but not least, I'll be finishing my Drugstore GLAM with the Makeup Revolution Matte Fix Oil Control Fixing Spray. So that's it. That completes my Drugstore GLAM, from the tools that I use to the sponge to the entire face. Everything is drugstore. This was a blast. I really hope you like this look. If you want me to do like a drugstore makeup part 2, I will gladly do it, because any excuse to go walk down the aisles of drugstores, especially Walmart. Like, I bought most of the stuff at Walmart and I had a blast. I made friends. I helped people pick out brow shades. I had so much fun. I was gone for an ungodly amount of time. Like, my husband was probably searching, like putting out a search warrant for me because I was gone for so long, but I had so much fun. So anyway, I hope it translates, and I hope you guys really like this makeup look. If you have any questions or any comments about the products I use in this tutorial, leave them in the comments. Also, let me know if you want a part 2 of drugstore makeup, or let me know what you want to see next from me. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Also, I'm at Makeup by Nikki LaRose, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.